Welcome back to another episode of the Find Food Freedom podcast. Before I started recording, I was thinking about how this is a holiday edition, and I feel like we need like a holiday jingle. But instead of even like overlaying one with music with the editor, maybe I just sing on today's podcast. Like I can't sing, but if I could, I would. Um, it's the most wonderful time. I saw a Christmas commercial the other day. It's September right now when I'm recording, by the way. And I saw a Christmas commercial and it gave me that like warm feeling. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is so close. Like, and this is what I want to say. When I was entrenched in diet culture, Christmas and holidays were fucking terrible. I hated them because it was so much stress around the food and my body, and really it was the food. Like I had to be around all of this food and I felt out of control and I couldn't be present. And now let me tell you, once you have food freedom, once you have healed your relationship with food, the holidays are so much better because you're actually present. And this year, my daughter will be, oh gosh, how old will she be? She'll be like 18 months. So I'm just excited to be like, Santa's coming and like all of that kind of fun stuff. Cause she was like 6 months last year. So she was cute. She could like sit up and kind of open gifts, but she was so young. So I am sending all of the vibes through my microphone right now that you are going to have an amazing holiday season, no matter what you celebrate, because you are going to have the tools that you need to make peace with food, to make peace with your body, to be present and enjoy the season. All right. So before we get into today's rapid fire, which we have some great questions that were sent in about the holidays, I want to start out every episode, like we always do, with a Find Food Freedom win or glimmer, if you will. This was a DM. Now, I need to get better at screenshotting the person's name, but this was a screenshot from a while ago that I've never shared. I have a screenshot folder in my phone. So I wanted to read this one because I thought it was so cute and so sweet. So here we go. This is from Anonymous, and they are saying, I just wanted to send a quick note of thanks. I am the happiest I have been with my body in years, mostly thanks to you and your videos and your podcast. I have tried on clothes, not facing the mirror like you have suggested. I have told myself that I deserve clothes that actually fit my body. I found a swim top that I was so excited to wear all summer long. I am learning to trust my hunger cues and learning so many things about what I crave and when. I started following other influencers that look like me and that are more diverse, and I have bought clothes and styles that I love on them. Thank you so much for everything you do. That was such a sweet message from Anonymous. Thank you for sending. And I love that they used the word diverse. And I want to just put that in here as this episode is I want to encourage you to follow all sorts of humans on the internet. I say this in many different pieces of my content, is that I acknowledge my privileges. I am a thin, white, straight bodied, heterosexual, cis woman. And it I can say things about food freedom and people on the internet are going to be like, yeah, eat that donut, girl, because of how I look. And then I have some amazing colleagues that reside in marginalized bodies that will say the same not the exact same, but of course, be saying the same thing, teaching the same, topics that I do. And they are hated on simply for existing and for their body. So I want to encourage you to follow tons of people that have different bodies, shapes, sizes, colors, genders, sexualities. If your feed all looks like one kind of aesthetic and person, that is a great place to start to really start to see bodies differently and recognize that we're not all supposed to look like this extremely unrealistic beauty standard that exists. So that was like a Find Food Freedom win, glimmer, slash a little education alongside of it and a little tip. And I always say the only detox that I support is a social media detox. So while you're in the midst of following new accounts, let's also unfollow the accounts that make us feel like shit. We don't need to bring that into the holiday season. Let's throw out some fun accounts for you. Accounts that you can follow that look different than me and teach amazing things. I'll give you 3 today. I'm going to give you Sharon Maxwell. That is, her account is Hey Sharon Maxwell. She is amazing. I'm going to give you Vinny Wellsby. That is at fierce.fatty. They are amazing. And I'm going to give you Monique Melton at M-O-E, motivate. 3 accounts. Look nothing like me, and they're fucking amazing. So I figure I might as well throw 3 accounts in there, help you start diversifying that feed and learning from other amazing human beings. All right. So it's time for rapid fire. We need a jingle for rapid fire if we're going to continue to do so many of these. If anybody is good with sounds or music or jingles, hit me up in the DMs. Let me know, because we could use like a little jingle to intro. You know how people do the little cool music? Again, I'm not singing for you, but we can pretend. Okay. All right. So if you are listening to this episode, I highly recommend going to the week before and listening to Rapid Fire Holiday Edition Part 1, because that episode has a lot of the first questions that come up when I say, like, what obstacles do you have around food, body image, and movement for the holiday season? The big hitters are binge eating, stress eating, and how to navigate diet culture talk with loved ones and other humans at social events. So that was the bulk of that episode. And I do have a few others right here in front of me that are kind of along the same lines. So I might get into that, but I really want to ensure that today's episode has different questions and just different resources, because I don't want to repeat myself when we have a resource that has exactly, what you're looking for there. All right. So let's get into today's. Now, I have a few to get to. Again, with rapid fire, I don't really set parameters on myself other than I'm going to try to keep it quick. I'm going to try to keep it brief so we can get to as many questions as possible. And chances are with some of these, I have full-blown podcast episodes on each individual question. So if that comes up, I will make sure to reference those, because if you want to go a lot more in depth on my answer, chances are we have a podcast episode where you can listen to like 45 minutes of me talking about it. All right, so let's go. First Q&A box that was sent through is this one. Choosing to be sober this holiday season related to anxiety, nothing to do with intentional weight loss, but worried about judgment and peer pressure. This is such a great question statement, and I'm so glad that you put it through. And I have actually multiple podcast episodes that I can recommend here on What the Actual Fork podcast. My co-host Jenna and I did like a 2-parter on that podcast about we'd have one episode that was our relationship to alcohol. That was actually, we recorded that a long time ago. And then we had the author Veronica Valley, I believe is her name, from the book Soberful. And we had her on to talk about relationship with alcohol related to wellness culture, and had some really, really deep dive conversations into the relationship with alcohol. But I also want to give a few things right now. So definitely if you're really interested in diving into relationship with alcohol, I would go to those. I do want to say that it's a very natural progression for humans when they walk on an intuitive eating journey and start to heal their relationship with food. They eventually get to this place, and I say I could use myself and say I've gone through this personally too, where you start to heal your relationship with food. You start to make choices around food that feel pleasant physically, mentally, emotionally. You're eating for satisfaction, and you're really in tune with what your body likes and doesn't like. And with that, you're going to naturally start to pay attention to how alcohol makes you feel, right? Because you're putting alcohol into your body. And this is not to shame people who drink alcohol. I am one of them. And I've done a lot of work personally, but also I've shared a lot of it online in blogs and in podcasts of my own relationship with alcohol and how it has shifted going through food freedom, intuitive eating journey, going through 3 rounds of IVF, going through a pregnancy and postpartum and breastfeeding time. My relationship with alcohol also shifted. And it is such a social thing. Going back to this person's question, if I understand why you feel like I feel peer pressure and judgment from other people if I'm making the decision not to drink, I want to validate that. And I want to share with you something that is the most helpful thing that helped me when exploring my relationship with alcohol. If you don't want to drink, that is your business and that is nobody else's business. When people start to interject and start to pressure you, oh, just have one. Oh, come on. Oh, you're no fun. Oh, that is a direct reflection of their own relationship to alcohol. And that has absolutely nothing to do with you. So it can feel like it's you and they're peer pressuring you. But what I want you to do is in that moment, I want you to take a deep breath. If you do get comments and say to yourself in your head or out loud, this has everything to do with their relationship with alcohol and nothing to do with me. And this is where part 1 of the previous episode, I talk a lot about how to navigate diet culture talk, but alcohol talk could be is very similar, is having something teed up and ready to redirect the conversation to pull them away from it. So if they're like, oh, come on, just have one. It's like, no, thanks. Like, I love this mocktail. Oh my God, did I tell you about my French bulldog the other day and the funniest thing that he did? Boom. Redirection. We're steering away from the alcohol talk. And now you get to carry on with the rest of your night. So I want to encourage you, if you are choosing to not drink due to anxiety, go into your social events with a really strong foundation of what do I want to feel and experience tonight, what your goals are with alcohol, and have that conversation redirection teed up. So if you want to redirect it, you feel comfortable doing so. Let's keep it going. That was a long answer. All right. Being around people who talk about diets, clean eating, detoxing, fasting, etc., aka my whole family. This is easy. I'm going to say go back and listen to the previous episode of Rapid Fire Diet Culture, Rapid Fire Diet Culture / Holiday Edition, pretty much. Because that I spent like 30 minutes talking about that. So that one I'm going to skip. I am going to go right into the next one of family comments about their own bodies and making boundaries around that. This is different because if someone is making comments about your relationship with food and your relationship with your body or your body in general, yes, you can redirect, set a boundary, walk away. Those are all things I talk about in the previous episode. But I want to encourage you that if somebody is making comments around their own body, like they're at the table, right? And they're like, well, I can't eat any of X, Y, or Z because I'm trying to lose weight and my body is too big, or whatever they're saying. There's a couple of different ways we could go about it. It definitely depends on what they're saying, how many times they're saying it, what's the vibe in the room like. So please use this, at your own discretion. And I would say the more we don't engage with body talk, food talk of any kind, we teach that person what we talk about, right? Like if I don't respond to something that someone says, then they're like, "Oh, she's not gonna, say anything when I talk about my body." And they get it without you having to set a boundary. Now, if you're someone who's like, "I need to say something, I want to say something," you can absolutely say something. And I want to encourage you to recognize and recognize that it's not your responsibility to stop that person from making comments about their body and food. And I know it can be very annoying to have to listen to it or triggering. So I want to encourage you, just like I said with alcohol in the previous question, someone's comments about food and body and bodies and meals and everything, it is a direct reflection of their own relationship with their body and food. And so you don't have to unpack their relationship. You don't have to say anything. And I think that our mental energy is really important. And at a social event, I think the best thing that I would say in this situation, I don't have much context here, would be don't engage, change the subject, and hopefully the body talk will stop, right? By not engaging in it. It kind of tells the person. All right, next one, no context with this. It just says pictures. So couple different scenarios running through my head. This person could be saying, my biggest obstacle is being in the picture. Could be my biggest obstacle is not taking the picture, but then people turning the camera around and showing me the picture and me seeing what my body looks like in the picture. So let's go both ways. First up, I've said this kind of in this episode, but I want to be very clear. When you are going to holiday events, diet culture is going to dig its nails in and figure out how to steal you of your joy, right? Diet culture is so good at getting us obsessed with food and body image that we can't be present and enjoy the current moment. So when it comes to pictures, so let's go more broad first. Let's go to the entire event. I'm going to say, because holidays, I feel like the biggest stressors come up around events in general for many different reasons. So let's say you're stressing about going to an event and there's going to be family pictures taken. I want you to get a journal out, to get a phone note out, and I want you to write down one word. I want you to write down, what do you want to feel and experience this holiday season? Or we could even be more specific and say at that event. So again, that question, what do you want to feel and experience at that event? Or you can take it more broad and say the entire holiday season. So go ahead and say that word out loud right now. But I encourage you to write it down, put it in your phone note so you have it with you. And when you go to an event that pictures are being taken, 2 pieces of advice. 1, I want you, when you're walking up to take that picture, I want you to repeat that word in your head over and over and over again. So is it joy? Is it love? Is it being present? Is it, I don't know, family time, right? Like, I don't know what that's 2 words, but I don't know what the word that you chose is, but let's go with gratitude, right? You want to feel gratitude this holiday season. You want to feel joy. So when you're walking up to take that picture, that's what I want. Like, I want you to sound like a robot repeating joy, 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 joy. I want you to repeat that to yourself. So it's like, this is why I'm here. I'm here because I want to experience joy with my family and my friends and my loved ones. We're centering that word. We're taking the picture. If it's taken on an iPhone or, a mobile device where people are turning it around and showing, and in this moment that if you see yourself in a photo, it will most likely trigger negative body thoughts, negative body talk. You're not going to look. at the picture, because it doesn't fucking matter if your arm is like this or if your arm's down to your side, right? It doesn't matter if your hair is laying flat or if your hair is like this, right? And for those of you watching, I'm just like flip my hair. It doesn't matter. You're in the picture. You showed up. You did the hard work. So we're not going to ruin our night by looking at a picture and allowing ourselves to then be triggered by negative body image thoughts. You showed up. You centered what you wanted to feel and experience. You took the picture. You're done. Amazing job. That is what I want to encourage you this holiday season when it comes to pictures. And you can look at the pictures later on, right? Or whenever. It's not that you're not allowed to look at the picture, but if you know in that event that it's going to rob you of joy and get you obsessed with your body, then I want to encourage you to not look. All right. We're going to go to our next one here. Okay. This one says stress from work schedule and not making time for rest and balance. Now, this is hard because, again, I don't know this person. I don't know the context of their job, if it's travel, if it's long hours, whatnot. But I want to encourage you this holiday season, because holidays are crazy. Between you have your social life, you have your work life, right? You have all these different things. You're trying to buy gifts. You're trying to do all these things. It also might be a time of grief for you if there's been loved ones lost in the past, or, the holidays can be a really, really hard time too. So I want to encourage you to take a baby step of something for yourself. And I actually heard this suggestion. I can't remember who said it, and I apologize. I want to give them credit, but I think their name was Chelsea, and they were on the Mel Robbins podcast. And I heard this advice, and I've given similar advice in the food and body space like this, but I'm going to use their example. Take a baby step to do something for you. And in the past, you may have, a baby step might have looked like something else, but let me use an example of what this person said. They said it might be getting paper plates for a week. And you might be someone who loves the environment and you're trying to, you only use your ceramic plates or whatnot. But for 1 week, if that's going to be the thing that makes it easier, because that means you have less dishes and then that's not going to pile up. And, and again, that's just an example. This obviously doesn't work for everyone, but I thought that was a really cool thing, is like, I think we feel like rest, we need to rest. Yes. But there also is so much more that goes into rest, because rest is a relationship just like movement. And I find that when we've been in diet culture for a really, really long time, a lot of clients that we work with don't believe that they deserve rest. So when they do rest, as in like laying in bed, watching Netflix, like physically resting, they're physically resting, but their brain is saying, you don't deserve this. You're so lazy. You're not productive. And so is it important to physically rest? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I would encourage you to make sure that you are aware of your relationship to rest, and understand that if you don't have time to rest, like this person is saying in this comment, then can we take a baby step and make that season more simple, right? So is it going to bed earlier during that season, because that like maybe you spend a few hours scrolling on your phone at night and it's like, okay, that's my me time, but I need more rest during the season. So I'll go to bed earlier. Is it using paper plates that whole month? Because then that means your dishes aren't going to stack up, and that takes away some of the mental load for you. So there are many different ways, and it's going to look different for everyone. But I want to encourage you, if you are somebody who, when I was saying that, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't allow myself to rest. When I'm laying down, I'm like, I should be doing these 500 things. I don't deserve to rest. I need to move my body. I should be burning calories. I should get 10,000 steps. If you're that person, then what we really need to do is get support and work on your relationship with rest and movement. Okay, next up. Whenever there was good food around, I feel like I need, in all caps, to eat it before it goes stale. Sad face. And then in parentheses, they wrote like pastries go stale very fast. And if someone baked it, I feel so bad. This is such a good one. And I want to take this person's question and I also want to expand on it and give like other scenarios that we can maybe use this in as well. So I think it's safe to say that during the holidays, if we are, privileged enough to have food security and access to food and loved ones around, you're going to have good food around. And so if you have an abundance of food in your house, and this is actually more like if you, let's say, host a holiday party or you come home from a holiday party, whatever it is, you can get the little to-go containers from Amazon or from Target or from Walmart or from any of these big grocers. You can get those little to-go boxes. And if you have large quantities of food that you're like, I'm never going to be able to get through this, and I am feeling very urgent to eat it all, not because I'm like, I really want to, but because there is a deep ingrained rule that like I need to finish all of this. That is where you can use some of those to-go containers for a couple different things. One, you can always freeze food. There's many different ways. A lot of times you can just do it like a nice tight Ziploc, but you can also do containers. There's also some of those vacuum pack things. So you can freeze food. If you don't want it to go bad, freeze some of it. And then it even takes more of the urgency away from you because you're like, I know it's in my freezer. I can have that pastry in May if I want, right? Like it doesn't matter what month it is. Now, some of you may say, that doesn't feel like that's helpful. And so for you, it might be that you want someone to enjoy the food now. It's like, I can't enjoy it all because when I eat it and continue to eat it, I feel physically unpleasant. I'm just eating it just to eat it because I don't want it to go bad. Let's give it away. In addition, now, do you have the ability to eat it and you have unconditional permission to eat it? Yes. And like this person is saying, if you feel the need to eat it to a place of physical unpleasantness, that's where we can say, can we keep some of it? Can we eat some of it? Can we freeze some of it? And can we get some of those to-go containers and run some to the next door neighbor, right? Run some to your coworkers the next day at work. Take it to the hospital for the night nurses and give them some fresh pastries. Like, is there a way that we can utilize this food as comfort for other people in community, right? So I think this is one. I remember my one client and I talked a lot about this last holiday season where it was a mix between the two, freezing some of that food and also getting those containers to give it away to people. So it's like, oh, they can enjoy it right now while it's fresh too. So I think there's a lot of different ways, and only you know while I'm talking what feels the best for you. And I think it's going to be different for everyone. Last one here on the rapid fire is seeing people and them noticing I've put on weight. I think this is such a common fear during the holidays. And I want to break it down with you. So if we are fearing that other people, or this comment, again, I don't have much context here, we're fearing that people will notice that our body has changed. What that tells me is there is a lot of emphasis on our body and what it looks like. And maybe even worth to an extent of like, I'm not worthy if people notice. So this is where within the body image work, I would want to encourage you to start to think about the people that you love the most in your life. I want you to think about, you could even do it right now. I want you to picture one person. I don't care what relationship they have to you, but I want you to think of one loved one in your life And I want you to center them. Close your eyes, picture them. Say their name out loud, even. What do you love most about them? Go ahead and name 3 characteristics for me. So think of this person. What do you love most about them? And some of you may be saying their humor, their energy, they're so trusting, they're a great listener, whatever it is. Those are the characteristics that keep you coming back to this person that you love so much. That, my friends, is exactly what your loved ones do when they want to show up in relationship with you. So this person saying, people are going to notice that I lose weight. Who cares? Because you know what? Our bodies are the least interesting thing about us. And the people that truly love you and truly matter, they are not coming to holiday dinners this year and saying, I can't wait to see Sam. Let's use myself as an example. I can't wait to see Sam, but I sure hope she didn't gain weight, because if she did, I don't want her in my life anymore. Nope, that's not what they're saying. They're saying, I can't wait to see her. I haven't seen her in a long time. I can't wait to hang out with her. I love her because of X, Y, Z. And just like you have that loved one that you pictured, and you pictured their characteristics and why you love them and all of these amazing things, that is exactly what I want you to do for yourself. Please know I'm not discrediting that body image struggles aren't hard. They're really fucking hard. When we believe that we are not worthy or not lovable or not accepted due to the size of our body, it is very hard. And I want to encourage you to center characteristics about yourself other than your physical body that deserve love and respect and acceptance and acknowledgement. Because if we are hating ourselves and hating our body, we're never going to be happy, because we cannot hate our way to happiness. So what we just went through is a very small exercise right there related to body image work. Of course, body image work, we could go through, oh my goodness, layers and layers and layers and layers of things to unpack and to talk about and to work on. That was just one small thing that came to mind for me that I would encourage. I also would encourage you to go back to the previous Rapid Fire Holiday Edition, where I talk about being able to set boundaries with diet culture talk, body talk during the holidays. Woo, that was a doozy. If you felt validated, you felt like you needed to hear this, you felt like this information was super helpful to you, I want to encourage you to rate, review, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this podcast episode. Leave a comment on Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you want to hear more of. And for those of you who are saying, I need more support right now, like you have spoke to me and I need more support, I want to encourage you right here, right now, to go to findfoodfreedomresources.com. Again, that's findfoodfreedomresources.com. And when you are there, you will see an array of resources. These resources we have free master classes. We have a monthly membership. We have coaching programs. We have so many different levels of support. So please take what serves you, leave the rest behind, and get the support that you need. I also just want to encourage you to take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And if you don't remember anything else from this podcast episode, I want you to remember that other people's thoughts and opinions and the things that they say about food and body have everything to do with their relationship with food and body and nothing to do with you. Thank you so much for being here. and I will see you guys next week.